and this is per Fightful Select. Mandy Rose has reportedly been released from WWE. Now, this was following the content of her fan time account got leaked all over Twitter, which caused a huge storm on Twitter. And WWE felt like the content was outside of the parameters of her deal, and she reportedly did breach WWE's deal with Mattel. And based off the content she was posting, WWE felt like they had to release her. Dylan, what do you want to start us off here?
Yeah, I guess, and I guess I'll say like as and me and Mark both as men addressing this issue, where we don't have like the greatest perspective to come from, but at the same time, say I'm just like embarrassed at the WWE because the big thing is like this is what it is. They don't care about it's not about setting an example like and I heard the amount of people saying like oh it's about like setting an example for the kids. No, it's not. That's not setting like what are you talking about? Multiple people saying that it's not a good like example to have on they don't want that to represent their brand. That's not what it is at all. It's the fact that she was doing this in a way, monetizing it in a way that WWE couldn't control. They had zero control over it. They were getting nothing out of it. Um, it was something that was completely on her own, and they couldn't do anything about it. The WWE is listen. I'm a fan of professional wrestling. I'm a fan of a lot of the content that WWE puts out. There's still a giant billion-dollar corporation that does a lot of with a lot of stupid shady shit that every billion-dollar corporation has, and this is just like can't support women's wrestling and not support women. That's pretty much how it works. Like so you can't pick and choose when you want to be a program for kids and when you want to not be. You can't pick and choose what sets a good example and what doesn't. And you can't. It's just it's just embarrassing. It's just like some loser shit by the WWE. Some straight up loser shit.
Yeah,
And
and
it's just such a bad look among like
yeah,
above
for
all.
WWE.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so like
exactly.
the thing is like WWE has made countless amounts of money off females' bodies in the past. I mean, like we were just talking
The
about the whole
exploitation of them for so long,
yeah,
like
they've paid the wrestlers to do Playboy in the past. They told NXT, the women's NXT roster to dress more sexy and they used Mandy Rose as an
yeah,
example as
as the
early as
example,
last year.
as
And
the example, and then she
Mandy
got
Rose's whole
fired for the
thing
same sexuality.
and yeah, and they were like using her sex appeal on with her gimmick, with her character, and I
They
saw
used her
some
as an object and as like the prize in a storyline before too. Like,
yeah. And so like the thing that I saw someone tweet was that I thought was pretty interesting was like WWE wasn't mad at the stuff she was posting. WWE was mad at the fact that they weren't making any money off of it, that she was going off and she was doing it on her own.
yeah,
Again, none of this was supposed to come to light. She was doing it like in private and then it just got leaked all over social media. But it's just a bad look for WWE. And now, there are reports that the door could potentially be open for her to make a return if she wants to return. And there are also reports that she was making more money doing that than she was getting paid to wrestle for NXT.
yeah. Which is, if that's true, fuck it, get the bag, and you don't have to take bumps anymore.
Yeah, it's just crazy how like hypocritical WWE can be sometimes, and you
Oh my
just feel
gosh,
bad
it
for
really,
all of the women on and
yeah.
it's a shame. It really is.
It's embarrassing. Um, there's no way, like, there's no way you whatever. It was a breach of her contract. It was a breach. Blah 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 blah. Like, there's no way that you could make this sound better to me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. It doesn't matter. It's like an unarguable topic to me. Like, it was not right. I think, especially, I don't know, just coming from, like you said, the company that has had brawl and panty matches and fucking pudding matches, like literally made women wrestle in pools
Lingerie
of pudding.
matches,
Yeah, like
wet t-shirt contests, a lot of really
yeah,
awful things
bikini
over the past.
contest,
I mean,
strip poker.
Triple H married Stephanie
When you
on screen when she
Walsh,
was unconscious.
yeah, just like yeah, and this is just to name like this is like on
This is just
screen
a
stuff.
few off the
Yeah,
top
and
of our heads too.
yeah, and like not to mention the amount of I can name at least 20 people that are employed by WWE off the top of my head that have more of a reason, like, to be fired than Mandy Rose. Like 20 people off the top of my head, like without thinking hard about it. I could probably name 20 people that have done something that should have gotten them fired, but it didn't. And Mandy Rose was not one of them. This was not one of them. It's just, yeah, the problem was WWE. The problem was she was doing this in a way that WWE could not monetize it, and they were never going to be able to monetize it. So they were just like, whatever. We're not going to continue to pay you so you can go make more money somewhere else. I'm not saying I agree with it at all because it's just like, I don't know. It's just such a bad look. It's sad. It's fucking it's just like I said, it's just sad. It's just embarrassing too.
And we didn't even okay, so on she was NXT Women's Champion for
Oh
413
yeah.
days. She really helped rebuild the NXT Women's division once she went back down to NXT, and she was a huge part of it. She was formed Toxic Attraction, which everyone was super pumped. Everyone loved. They were waiting for them to get called up. They were saying the women's division on the main roster, they need Toxic Attraction. And so she lost her NXT championship on Tuesday to Roxanne Perez. And this is, I'm not trying to take anything away from Roxanne Perez because she's an incredible talent, but that was because of this stuff. And everyone was wondering, like, oh, maybe she'll get caught up to WWE now. You know, they were pumped that she was probably going to be on the main roster. They were wondering what's next, and no one knew what was coming, which was her getting released, which it's just a shame. You feel awful for her. And it's just like you have when you're signed with WWE, you have like so little ways of making money through an avenue outside of WWE that doesn't involve WWE. Like all of the stuff that these wrestlers do is like going through WWE. So if you want to like do something on your own, there's very few ways, if any, that you can actually go out and do it. Um, it's just an awful thing that happened. I believe she once you get released from NXT, you have 30 days before you can compete again in the squared circle. So it's going to be interesting to see if she does step back in the ring. I know there was quotes before of her talking about how she does want to start a family because she is like in her early 30s. So maybe she won't wrestle again as long as she does whatever she wants to do and whatever makes her happy. That's the most important part. And like I just said, the reports were that she was making more money off this. So she wants to do that and ultimately just save her body from the punishment that she was taking in wrestling, then and let her do that. But you know, who knows? Maybe we'll see her pop up in AEW. I think if she does go to another company, she can definitely pursue something on the side. You know, we've seen Tony Storm has an OnlyFans, I believe. You've seen other wrestlers pursue other things outside. She could wrestle
Yeah.
for other companies.
Tay
So
Mello.
yeah. Paige Van
There's
Zant has
I
one.
was
So
there's like a bunch of people with in AEW, like
yeah.
with OnlyFans and stuff. So if she wants to go there and do it, all the power to her. Tony Khan will definitely take her.
Yeah, and so hopefully
And
she
they could
just
use
does.
her over there, honestly,
Yeah,
because this was what I just wrote this in the article. I'll just say it real quick, but like one of the reasons I want her to go to AEW is because she's such a hot topic right now that like it'll force Tony Khan to give more airtime to the women's division, and then it'll force the women's division into beginning to improvement, which it is starting to get a little bit better over there on AEW. I will say the women's division has been getting better, but it's been one of the things that has been AEW's um biggest, I guess, downside has been their women's division, and it hasn't been fault of the talent.
yeah, it's just like, I mean, we've talked about it a lot before, but they've just booked the women's division pretty poorly. And like you said, they have been doing a bit of a better job over the few months, but we still see dynamites and rampages that just feature one women's match and maybe a backstage segment. So
Hmm.
um, it's definitely something that they need to work on. And it's not like they don't have the talent, because they have an extremely talented women's division. Um, they have a pretty big issue with like who's going to dethrone Jade Cargill. Um, Maybe that'll be Sasha Banks. Who knows?
Who knows?
Um, but yeah, and the other thing is like, what are they going to do with Gigi and Jossie? Are they going to call him up? How are they going to like portray this on television? Like, because everyone knows.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I know.
That's like I don't know like how they're gonna handle this with like the on-screen storyline. If they're gonna call the two of them up, maybe they will re-sign her, because that is still in the picture. I saw someone say, what if they just like released her and then they're gonna like rehire her to capitalize on like all of the buzz that she has and immediately bring her up to the main roster. um I don't know how likely that is, but it's
Yeah.
gonna, I don't know. You also just like sort of forget about Gigi and Jossie, and you kind of just feel bad for them, because like
Hmm.
what are they gonna do now?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's just overall a
It's a
really bad
shame.
situation and a bad look for WWE. You feel awful for Mandy Rose, and you feel awful for women not only in wrestling but in real life, because they have to deal with this sort of stuff all of the time. So